Yes, guys, welcome back to the Irish Hotspur for the post-match reaction to today's 2-2 draw against Brentford at the G-Tech Stadium. The new era has begun. Let me know in the comments if you're excited, whether you have concerns about it. Look, I'm sure you guys will let us know anyway, but if you're hesitating, get them in. We'll bring them up as we go along. As you can see, I've brought to you an absolute stellar panel. Well, I know you missed them on the watch along earlier on today. We have Nick with us here this evening. Nick, how you keeping, my man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I got a lot of positive vibes from today's performance, man. So I'm happy to talk about it. I'm actually very glad I wasn't on the watch along. It was nails inside the desk and just holding on for dear life, at least for the first 45 minutes, man.
Yeah. Look, first 45 minutes was definitely exciting. Second 45, look, I sort of think it flattered to deceive, but plenty of positives to take away from today, and we will get into it. We want to welcome everybody in. We, of course, also have Mia from Spurs Between the Lines. Mia, how are you keeping this evening?
Yeah, I'm good. It's nice to watch some football when I don't have to fall asleep watching it. It was good. It was exciting. And I was actually engaged in watching it, which isn't actually, it's so refreshing to not watch some nice football that you're thinking, oh, this is exciting, and not just thinking, when is this ever going to be over?
Yeah, look, even I was excited for 45 minutes. That's a rarity. I mean, absolutely brilliant for the first 45. And Jacob, how are we this evening? Of course, all the way from the United Spurs of America. How are you keeping, my man?
You know how I live. Too blessed to be stressed, Dave. Thank you for the invite. Appreciate being here. Enjoyed all 90 minutes of what I saw. It was fun. I agree with Mia. It was not a snooze fest. Waking up early here in the States can be quite difficult from time to time for those 5:30 kickoffs, especially. But I'll tell you what, I was excited. I woke up for every single preseason match. I assume that the feelings will be continued. It's just one of those, I expected an end-to-end match, and that's kind of what we got in that first 45. The second 45, a little different. We'll talk about it, but obviously, yeah, man, I'm really excited for Romero to get that first. I think that was his first Premier League goal for us, if I'm not mistaken. So at least he's finally done that. And yeah, overall, a lot of really positive. There were some things I didn't like, but there were some things I did like, and there are some promising things as well. So a lot to look at there.
For sure. And before we pick the meat off the carcass of today's performance, great analogy, by the way, props to me for that one. Let's bring up the match stats from today's game. Of course, 11 shots Brentford had with 6 on target. Tottenham had 18 with 6 on target. Brentford had 30% possession compared to our 70, and maybe that's where maybe a couple of concerns come in with the amount of possession. The creativity wasn't necessarily there or didn't really reflect. It's certainly in terms of decent chances created. I would have preferred more shots on target. And, of course, defensively, still vulnerable. 6 corners to 3. And, of course, Brentford had 3 big chances to our 1. And look, it got off to an absolute flying start. I mean, Mia's man Romero diving through the air was absolutely brilliant. But we got caught very, very quickly. And then, of course, we went and got the equaliser, superb finish from Emerson. And then it went into halftime at 2-2. And then the second half, we huffed, we puffed. We just could not blow that house down. Now, before we go around and get everyone's thoughts on the performances and then really dig deep, let's welcome some people in the chat with us. We have some eager beavers in with us this evening. We've got Nathan Rowlands. He says, defo, a Kane replacement is needed. Look, I would agree so. We'll definitely get on and talk about that. Boris Britt says, reports saying Spurs have offered 27 million euros to Ghent for Gift Orban, but it seems Ghent are wanting 30 million euros plus add-ons. Yeah, that's always the case when Tottenham are interested in someone. Mick Kermalock says, good evening, Jack and Dave. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Adnan. Says, greedy buggers for a unproven in the Premier League player. Sugar Pebbles 28 says, before any fans come on to say anything negative, let's remember that our top goal scorer left just 2 days ago. We got a new manager and playing attacking football after years of slow defensive football. Absolutely fair point to make, Sugar Pebbles. We have Chris says, good point to start with, but any striker better than Richiarlison buries those 2 chances in the game we had. Fair point. Who else have we got here? We've got Mick Kermalock says, big up, Chris. Who else we got? Dan Davenport says, I thought we were sloppy defense-wise. Definitely, at times. I think for the large part, actually, we looked all right, to be fair. Darkstone G says a good point against Brentford is a great result. I mean, Nick, would you agree with that? What's your overall, what's your overall thoughts on today's game? And do you think it is a good point? Because people were making the point towards the end of the watch long that Brentford have put massive scalps at their home stadium over the last couple of years. And, not many teams go away to the G-Tech Stadium and actually get a lot of joy, especially big teams. So, I think it's a good result today.
Man, I think when you look at the numbers, a lot of people were talking about it earlier. Haven't lost at home since last September. That's crazy. That is obviously we talk about building a fortress. That's what they've done. They did it again today. However, there were so many factors going into this match, so many unknowns. I mean, I was really coming in not expecting anything. I didn't even want to make a score prediction at all because nobody knew what was going to happen when that ball was kicked off. I think it went largely as maybe you might have expected. I think a lot of people out there went for the Desmond, went for the 2-2. I think 1 point away is very good, considering everything that we've all the negatives we had going into our preseason and the lack of game time, the slow move to bring in defenders, to bring in Van de Ven. I think a point is great. Even if we would have lost 3-2, I probably still wouldn't be, completely upset. So I'm very happy coming away with something.
For sure. Well, Dark Song G definitely agrees, my man. He's pumped. Let me know what you think about Sonny. We will get on to it in a while, Dark Song G, but is it maybe he's struggling to come back to full fitness, or is it a system problem when it comes to Sonny? Let me know your thoughts on that, my man. Lee Richards, big up. He says 3 weeks of haggling from Boris. Just pay the money, Spurs, because think we saw enough today to suggest it's going to take Richie time to settle in to leading the line. That is a fair point, my man. Big up, Hennessy. Great to see you, brother. I'm sure there's people on that earlier on in today's game. Big up, Mick Hermalock as well. Great to see you, my man. And then Dark Sun G also says, playing attacking football for once feels great. I mean, Mia, this is something that you spoke about for a long time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just honestly so nice, even though it's a bit of like heart attack football. Some of the things that we're doing, we're a bit like, I'm like, but it's actually nice to enjoy a game of football because for so long it's been just so tiring watching us. And I was watching Man City games just to get a bit of enjoyment out of football again because it just was so horrible watching us. It's like, like pulling teeth. That's what it felt like watching us at times. So yeah, it was lovely. I really enjoyed it. We knew it from the pre-season that we were going to get this kind of football. So yeah, I'm definitely enjoying it again. It's really nice to enjoy our football again.
Yeah, it was. It looked, the first 45 minutes, I was just sitting there purely entertained. I was sitting there thinking, geez, this is absolutely flown by. And then he added 11 more minutes. I didn't think I'd be able to handle it. But Dark Sung G, it was definitely good to see us playing on the front foot again, my man. Let's give a more of a quick zoom through because we don't like missing anybody out. We're all inclusive here. We like to get everybody and we don't like to leave anyone out. We've got Tyler says, big up everyone. Hope you're keeping well, Tyler. Hopefully you enjoyed that result today, my man. Big yourself up. Who else have we got? We have Dermatron in the house. Dermatron, big up, my man. Absolute legend. We also have Zoe. How are you keeping, Zoe? Let me know your thoughts on that. Did you enjoy that one? And we also have Guatano. Says Spurs need a number 9. I think a lot of people are sort of coming out with that takeaway. DJ Samuel says attacking football is back. He's absolutely loving it. Big up, DJ. Michael Bennett says Sonny Kulu and Skippy, the weak links today. I would agree with that, actually. That was sort of my takeaway from it. And Belpinder Digania says, evening, guys. Good game. Big up, my man. Absolutely props for that pronunciation as well. Alan H says, I think Sanchez played well again. The system suits him, so maybe we should take him as a backup. I mean, look, Jacob, overall performance, and I suppose we'll let you come in on this as well, because you did sort of bring it up before we went live here. I needed to go and have a lie down. I couldn't believe it. But what's your thoughts?
Davinson Sanchez, I feel like Ange Postecoglou has said, hungriest dog eats the most. And Davinson Sanchez proving yet again to be the hungrier dog on the day. I thought he filled in absolutely great for Romero. There was at least 3 chances that I remember Davinson Sanchez in my head being like, okay, Davinson, don't let me down, please. Don't let me down. And he didn't. And normally he does. I was expecting him to fall over, chew on some grass like we've seen him do versus City, or, just do something clumsy. And you know what? I really feel like he's taking some pride in the fact that, look, we didn't have all these center backs on the bench, but guess which one was the first one we called upon? Him. And he's proving to have some utility use, whether we rate the guy or not, whether the years of that we've seen of him or not.
So,
I'm just
Jacob,
glad that
would
we
you be
chose
suggesting-
Sanchez over Dier. That's all I'm saying.
Jacob, would you be suggesting that booing at the stadium last year may have helped them?
I could understand that argument, because think about Emerson Royale. He received a lot of criticism, social media and at the stadium, and he turned it around. And maybe he was an example. Davinson looked at him and said, man, if he could turn his game around, why can't I?
True. I mean, Nick, Mia, any of you want to come in on the Sanchez talk so we can just get it over and done with and move on?
Man, Sanchez, it's just, if you're choosing the lesser of two evils, and those two evils being Dier or Sanchez, right now you take a look at it, and I go with Sanchez every time, if we have to keep one of them as a backup. The problem is, if we're relying on Sanchez, he's going to let us down at some point in time. He's not the level that we want to. He's not a top 4 defender. Is really what it comes right down to. Stats, performances, the seeing eye test. I mean, he's okay as a backup. I really think he's trying to get his move anyway. It's time for him to move on. Today's performance, looked good for him. Looked like, hey, you know what? There's a professional footballer there. For all his faults, there's something in there too. I say don't be too emotionally attached to this one performance, and let's progress forward. Thank you, Sanchez. You didn't screw up today. Good for you.
Well, all I'm saying is, if you look at our bench, who else do we have at center back? Dier, Davies.
Yeah.
I would, at this stage versus Barcelona, Sanchez proved to me I'd prefer him out there on the left as a backup, and he showed today he could play on the right as well as a backup. My whole point being with him is that maybe he's not as lost of a cause as we thought, and there was a reason that teams have come in for him, and there's reasons that teams have not come in for Dier or Davies. There's reasons for that, right? And I think he's shown at least 2 match days in a row, one being a preseason versus Barcelona, yes, but that he can at least serve a role here. As obviously, I think Van de Ven had an outstanding performance for a debutant, but just Sanchez he showed me he could back up Romero as well. Because let's face it, he probably can take a knock again. He's a very aggressive player. So whether it's yellow card accumulation or it's an injury like we saw today, there's going to be times where we need someone to. And is Ashley Phillips the guy that we're calling upon? As much as I want him to be in the future, I don't know if he is yet, but that's just my opinion. I'm not trying to go over the top with Sanchez. I'm just saying, you know what? He's shown me that he can at least have a role here, and that's to fill in when necessary, but please not all the time.
I'm all for dreaming. I encourage people to dream, but what do you think of Jacob's dreams?
Oh, sorry, you broke up a little bit. I've got to agree really with both in a way. I think that if we got someone else in, I think that wouldn't be a bad thing. But if he was someone that wasn't going to come in all the time, he out of the three of God's sakes, out of Dier and Davies, I think he's the more suited because he's fast and the other two are dead slow. So if anyone's going to be that backup, or if we say we do get someone else in and he's the backup, I wouldn't be mad at that, because the thing is we was going to get possibly Lenglet, but it looks like now that's not going to happen. And so if he was the backup, I wouldn't be that mad at it, because I think that he probably suits Ange with his speed, and he wouldn't be playing all the time. So out of Dier and Davies, probably he's the most suited.
Look, I do hear that argument. I just think we need to move on from these guys. But, if we're not going to get in someone else, then I can understand him out of the likes of Dier and Davies for sure. And we'll talk about the Dier situation a bit later on. Big up Liam, my man. He says, big up, Dave. Also, big up Michael Bennett. He says Orban centre-back and Eze need to be there for United game. By the way, Eze was fantastic for Palace yesterday. Ellie, big up. She says, is this a treat, Dave, Jacob and Nick, for eye candy and great match analysis of me bringing the girl as she's a legend and spot on with her if up for our performance. Big up, Ellie. Good to see you in the building. Andrew Seymour says, Seymour says, evening all, lots of positives. Presume is a beast, bit worried about Vicario. Looks erratic, but great football. Maddison, Udogie, good games, and Van de Ven was unlucky with the deflection. Daniela Zito says, good evening. It was a good game, but a lot of work needs to be done. Hopefully Romero's head injury isn't as bad that it keeps him out of the United. No, reports came straight out after game from Postecoglou. It was just precautionary. They sort of had to take him off as a precaution, but he's absolutely fine, so don't worry about that. And then we also have Dan Inwood. Yeah, the ref was atrocious and very trigger happy, and the yellow cards too. He should be fired, in my opinion. We'll get on to that penalty call, by the way. It was absolutely a joke. John RM says Sonny isn't captain material. He's way too nice and shy. We need in your face, rally the troops, a Roy Keane type, and he definitely isn't that. And Kay says, Davo, is that it again? Keep killing it, Dave. Big up, Kay, my man. I really appreciate that. Look, you know me. I'm king of match days, pre-match, watch-along, and post-match, my man. You know me, brother. Big up, Kay. I absolutely love it. Great to see you, buddy. And then we have Dark Song G. And look, this brings me on to sort of our debuting performances. Let's start here. I mean, for me, I think they all absolutely got on perfect. I think Udogie was brilliant. Vicario, okay, near the end, maybe worried me a little bit. Overall, I think it was okay. Maddison, I think was superb. Of course, comes out of the game with 2 assists today. And who was the other one? Van de Ven, who I thought, okay, bar the mix-up between him and Vicario, I would say. I thought he was absolutely superb. But Dark Song G says, our recent transfers played great. Vicario, Basuma, Cutie, Romero, Royale, Maddison, Van de Ven, Udogie. He says some will be back once we play teams that don't park the bus. Now, look, Nick, we'll start with you. Let's start on the debutants first of all. I mean, let's go through them. What do you make of Vicario's performances today? I've heard a lot of mixed reactions. Some saying, look, fine, just, bit nervous starting off the Premier League, but it'd be fine. Some people saying there's concerns there.
You know what? He looks to me like a guy who just isn't settled yet. So, with a bunch of the debutants, with a bunch of even our older players, I'm not going to make a defined judgment until I see another 180 minutes of football. Under this system, there's a lot of good things I saw today. In fact, I don't even put that goal down on him. Remember, it took a deflection off of Van de Ven, and Van de Ven was directly in his line of sight. The movement off of Van de Ven's foot was always going to throw him off. I thought he made a good decision. He almost got to it. I think it's real harsh to blame him on that goal. Some of his attributes in coming out of goal, coming off his line, and being very proactive, I thought were great, if not a little bit nervy. However, one thing that we heard so much about him coming in when we first picked him up was his inability to catch and his dodginess with his punching and deflections, and that is clearly on display right now. I mean, I get real nervous. So if that's going to be a thing, if that's going to be what we have to get used to, he has to get really settled in with his 2 defenders right in front of him. And they have to be ready for that kind of thing. They have to be ready to take a short deflection and do another clearance out if it takes that. Or just be ready to move the ball along faster, because they're going to have to keep an eye on where that ball's ricocheting off of. I would say, if we were giving him a score right now, I'd give him a 6, honestly. Right now, for his debut in the Prem, I'd give him a 6.
Interesting. Look, for me, I think there was some good moments. I think on large, I think a lot of his distribution was okay. I think it sort of found where it was supposed to go a lot of the times. But there were some nervous moments. To me, is that something that is just going to be sort of ironed out with more game time? The more they play together, the more the sort of backline and the goalkeeper have that understanding. Or do you think it's a real concern to take away from today's game?
I think it is absolutely something that he will grow into, and you could see it actually happening as the game progressed. He actually became one of the lesser nervous people on the pitch when it came down to the 90 minutes. As much as our momentum dropped off, he actually started to look a lot more comfortable. and he was looking a lot more nervy in the first half.
Mm.
I see him growing into it a lot better, man. Our back line is going to have to learn to play with him. He's going to have to learn to play with them. And I believe that will settle as time goes on. Like I say, though, I want to give him another 180 minutes before I really make a concrete judgment on it.
For sure. Look, I think we just got to give the guy a bit of time to settle. I think, look, overall, we're going to have to show patience to this project. We're going to have to. We knew this coming into this. Look, Mia, we'll go on to you, and we'll go to another debutant, Mickey van der Ven. I mean, look, maybe bar that deflection that went in for the goal. I mean, overall, I was pretty impressed with him. I thought at times he looked comfortable on the ball. I remember this one time, two Brentford players were pressing me, done a step over and just sort of went back with it and played safe and sort of got himself out of that situation. What do you make of Mickey van der Ven overall? Were you impressed with his debut today?
Yeah, and I thought he did really well on his debut. And a couple of times as well, when he run back, it just showed he's quick. He's a quick boy.
I mean, he was dying to open up at one stage. He only got like 2 seconds of it, but he was dying to open up.
Yeah, no, that's it. So, yeah, I thought he did really well. He looks confident as well. He doesn't look shy, like he's willing to get in there. I think people said he didn't do headers, but I'm sure I caught him doing a couple of headers. I'm sure I did. But anyway, that's just, by the by. But yeah, I think he did well. He might have been maybe a little bit nervous at the beginning, but I felt like at the beginning of the match, I feel like the whole team was nervous at the beginning of the match. We looked really nervy, and Vicario as well, making a bit of like a few little mistakes, and he didn't look confident on the ball, and that kind of just reflected the whole team for those first 10 minutes. But apart from that, I think to be thrown in the deep end like he did, I think he did really, really well. And he's giant, isn't he? He's just a giant boy.
He won 4 out of 5 aerial duels, by the way, Mia. So the stats back up your point. Yes, he was absolutely busy in the air.
So when people said he can't header, I was like, oh, okay. When I watched him today, I was like, oh, he's all right. He's headering.
Yeah,
so
he was.
What do I know? But
Well, I think it comes down to his aerial stats. Playing in Germany just weren't up to par with some of the best, in the league. However, I mean, did anybody feel as nervous when it came to set pieces as we have been feeling during, in fact, even all preseason with him in that back line? Hey, we didn't concede during a set piece. I mean, hallelujah. That's a win right there, man. So I'm feeling a lot better with him.
And Joe, I think as well, he doesn't really need to do much to head the ball because he's so tall anyway. He's just that dominant presence. Because if you've got a man who's like over 6 foot right behind you, towering over you, it's intimidating anyway. So he doesn't even need to do that much to sort of like get onto someone who he's trying to get, who he's dueling for the ball for. So I think that he did really well. Overall, I was really, really pleased for him.
I agree. I think overall he had a very good game, and it left me comfortable anyway. I sort of felt comfortable with him back there. But Mia, do you think maybe he could have done a bit better with that goal?
I think it was just one of those, Dave. I think that it happens. Even we've seen the best of them do it. I never forget Toby scoring an own goal at Liverpool. And that was the winning goal. It was an own goal. So even someone who we rate so highly, like Toby, even done it. So I think that it's just one of those things. Isn't it? His debut, bless him. I'm not going to hold that against him. Basically, like I say, you see the best of them make those mistakes occasionally. I never forget. I think Toby was passing the ball back to Lloris and he done it too hard or something like that. I'll never forget. And I was just hands on my head going, what have you done? But like I say,
Dier passed it back to Lloris and it went out for corner. I think that's
when we had Toby. It's when we had Toby. We was at their ground. I specifically remember it was we were drawing at the time, I think, and we got an own goal. Tell me if I'm wrong, chat, but I can vividly remember this. So, like I say, the best of them do it. So I'm not going to hold it against the boy.
Well, technically, it wasn't an own goal. They did give the credit to Visa, whatever his name is.
Or maybe it was Trips. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I know one of them done it.
Yeah.
No, the Trippier one was Manchester City at Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, I was going to say.
When he put it right in the line of Sterling. Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. So it happens, doesn't it? And that was
Yeah,
his
it
debut.
happens. It happens. What I was impressed with was the fact that he didn't put his head down afterwards. He actually
No.
had a fantastic game following that. And for your debut, a mistake like that can really throw a person off, especially concentration. So we saw, what his quality, what his character was like
And I would say
in the following 80.
I would say the same would apply to Vicario as well, because to concede that the penalty is his first time stepping between the sticks to try and save a penalty for Tottenham Hotspur, and it goes through. That as a goalkeeper, it can get in your head. And he had 4 fantastic saves to my recalling, and I don't think there's too much to be upset with any of the debutants really.
Yeah, it's just going to take a bit more playing time between that back line and Vicario to really sort of cement that solidness that we're looking for overall back there. Because reality is that's the consequences of not bringing Van de Ven in earlier for pre-season tour for these guys to gel. So look, we knew this, and look, I put it out in the video when I said welcome to Tottenham Flash. He's going to make a couple of mistakes early on. Jan Vertonghen done it. People need to remember that. There was once upon a time where Jan Vertonghen, it didn't look like he was going to make it, but we stuck with him. He stuck through it, and we got one of the world's best defenders out of it. So I urge people, stick by Mickey Van de Ven, a.k.a. Flash. Go on.
Just to make sure that I wasn't going crazy, it was in 2019. It was 2-1 Liverpool, and Alderweireld did score the goal. Luis punched it out to Mo Salah, and then Toby went to hit it back, and then I think that's when he scored the own goal. See, I actually remembered that completely correctly, pretty much. I'm quite impressed with myself.
I'm impressed by that. I can barely remember last week, so fair play to you, Mia. I remember all the mistakes Dier does, though. But look, Jacob, moving on, my man. Let's go on to Udogie. I mean, what's your overall thoughts, performance on him? For me, I was really impressed. I thought he handled himself brilliantly defensively, and at times when the space was open up, he drove forward, and it really impressed me. I think others should learn to do the same at times.
I heard you say his name, but whenever I think of his name, all I can think of is Destiny Udogie, because to me, he's not a Udogie, he's a Udogie. He's the truth. He's quelled any doubts I had before I even saw him step onto the pitch as a left back, because he came out and said people are concerned about me playing left back. Originally, that was my first position, so he's more than comfortable playing it, is what his quote, a direct quote from him. So that going into it, I always felt confident that as soon as Ange got a good look at both him and Sergio, that he was going to make the right decision, and he did. There was only one preseason match where Sergio started over Destiny, and for me, today he proved it again. I think he won like half of his ground duels, so he won the ball 5 times out of 10. That's pretty damn good. 3 tackles, 3 interceptions. He's busy defensively, busy connecting play on the left. Even when Perisic came on, there wasn't much to do. We'll talk about the attack in a minute, but defensively, I thought he quelled any worries that any fan should have. That he's definitely capable, because if you remember last year, what did Mbeumo do to us? He tore us apart. He tore us apart. And you know what? Mbeumo, for the most part, if it wasn't out for that penalty, he would have had a rough day. So I thought Destiny Udogie was very good. Very impressed with him. He's continued to impress as well. So those 2 debutants, as well as Maddison, were in my nominees for man of the match. Obviously, Basuma the other one, but I think when you look at 2 young kids coming in, starting side by side, not really knowing each other. They've had 3 training sessions together, so they don't really know each other too well. But to only concede on a giveaway from Emerson Royale on the other side, you got to be pretty largely proud of these 2 young men, and honestly be pretty excited about the future at that position. Yeah. Where I think us a lot as a Spurs fans for these past 4 or 5 years have been pretty damn upset with what's going on the left hand defensively. So I loved it. 2-2, give me it. I loved it. I loved Udogie all around play. I think he's only going to get better with time as well. He's a big boy too, so that's what I don't think he's fast, and he's large. He reminds me of a little bit of like an Adama at left back, and I like what I'm seeing from him. He gives me the same vibes, and I appreciate what he brings to the position. A lot of freshness and a lot of girth. Yeah, and can be.
I knew you were going to say girth. I was just waiting for that word.
I had to sneak it in there. I didn't
No,
lead with it this time, Mia, but I snuck it in there.
I thought Udogie was absolutely brilliant today, and fair play to the kid. You know, he's been a rock since he's come in. Like Jacob said, there was a lot of concerns. Could he play there? For me, I think he's already nailed down the spot, and I'm comfortable with him there. So big up, Destiny Udogie, absolute great performance. And look, we'll go with Maddison, and then we'll kick on with a few more super chats to get to, and then I have some other talking points to get to. Maddison, for me, you know, I enjoyed seeing someone pick up that ball and just spray passes about, try and affect the game. You know, that's something that people know that watch me know I'm a great enjoyer of. I've spoke about the great Luka Modric who used to do that. For me, it was nice to see us have that lock picker, someone that can just get on the ball, spray it left, spray it right, 1-2s down the middle. And of course, he comes away with 2 assists today. I mean, Nick, did Maddison sort of leave the impression that you thought he would on this Tottenham team?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that it's happening so quickly. I think that the Kane situation is accelerating it because he's, from what I can see, especially in this match, and you know what we saw a little bit in preseason, is he's really trying to make that midfield his own. He's trying to stamp his authority onto being the person that wants the ball every time and wants to dictate how that midfield is going to play. There's a lot of other moving parts around there, but he knows that he's going to be the linchpin right there. You know, in the way Ange plays, it's not really the number 9 that's ticking everything over all the time. It is those 3 midfielders working together. Maddison's making the case for this is his house. We're going to play the way I want to play. And I got no problem with it because the guy has skills, man. The guy has skills.
100%. And we'll let everyone come in on Maddison because he's a star guy. Mia, thoughts on Maddison? Impressed with him today? Do you agree with Nick?
Yeah, no, I will really agree. And he's also really smart as well because see, like when he wins free kicks and stuff, he knows how to use his body to like be able to get those free kicks. He's very, very intelligent when it comes to with the ball, what to do to sort of shield the ball to get that free kick. And a couple of those little passes he was trying to do through the eye of a needle as well was really impressive. Like he has got these little skills, these little tricks. And so far, I've been really impressed with him, even in pre-season. But today, I thought he really showed what he can do. Because I think now we've got the midfielders like that he has to sort of fight with a little bit. So he might think, oh, Lo Celso played. I want to prove a point. So that's what you want. You want the players to have to prove a point. So he's saying, look, boss, this is what I bring to the table. I want to play, you know. I think that was really good about it, that we've got that a bit more now. And I was really impressed with him today. I really am. I think he just looked really, really good. And I had my doubts about him, but I was always willing to be proved wrong. I was always skeptical, but so far I've been very, very impressed with him and his attitude as well. He comes across really well so far.
Yeah. And of course, you know, Jacob, he got the captain's armband today. You know, Sonny came off, Romero was out of the team injured, Maddison captain. I mean, a sight to behold, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the vice captaincy from the jump was a good idea because it holds Sonny accountable for times in which if he's being ineffective in the match like we saw today, then we have someone who can come in, wear the armband, and still be that leader. You could tell from the whole match, though, that Maddison was very vocal, was being a vocal presence and a leadership presence. So I think that I was a little upset that we only got a sample size of Christian Romero as far as him now undertaking this role. So I was a little disappointed with that, but you know what? I'm really glad to hear that he's okay. But Sonny wearing the armband, I thought largely in the first half he was ineffective. I thought he came better in the second. He was linking up better in the second half. But outside of that, I don't know what he really did. The main thing that I remember from Sonny's performance was I remember he got a pass into him right around the penalty spot, and his first touch went right into the defender. And I just thought in that moment that maybe had he had more touches inside the box, that his first touch would potentially go straight into the defender. So I just think it's a matter of maybe him getting used to his role in this system more. I thought he was out wide left a lot, and you know, if that's part of where he's supposed to be, right in and around that corner of their box on our left, then so be it. But I just think maybe through the middle you could get more effectiveness out of him, because that one touch in the box, I don't think it's enough service. If you give him the touches that I think maybe Richiarlison got in the box, we might have seen something different. Richiarlison did have that one good shot that I remember, but outside of that, largely ineffective. I think our front three definitely need to work on what they're doing. Kulusevski's been just as woeful as he was last season. I thought he had some good passes. He did okay. He wasn't awful, so I don't want to like dog on him too much. I just think our front three in total need to step it up a little bit more, be better. That's my opinion.
For sure. And look, we'll definitely get on and have a conversation about that front three, because I wasn't very impressed with it. First of all, I got a big up Wicklow Spurs Supporters Club, not too far away from me, from a great county where there's lots of hiking to do. So big up Nigel C, and hopefully you're keeping well, my man. And big up Dark Sun G. Really appreciate the support, brother. Top comment. Hopefully, let us know what you make of the debutants as well. Paul Markey says we need to bring Sarares Velez through quickly.
I think you meant Shearer-esque.
Shearer-esque.
Shearer-esque. Velez, do you know what, though, Paul Mark? Did you not tell me that he's got a long way to go still? You know, I thought you told me he's still got a long way to go on that. You know, he's going to take time to adjust. And look, Ange already said sort of as well that you won't see him for the first while. So, yeah, look, if we're not going out to buy another striker, Paul, you know, one of them is going to have to adjust very quickly, whether it be Scarlett, Valise, Donnelly, Sunsup Bell, Lancashire, Parrott. One of them are going to have to, my man. But big up, Paul Markey. I really appreciate the support. Dark Sun G says Van de Ven's is why we got a result. If it was Dier, absolutely spot on. Couldn't agree more. If that was Eric Dier, I mean, he would have just absolutely melted. And it's for a number of reasons. He switches off. He's poor on the ball. Absolutely spot on. Plus, Van de Ven just breeds confidence into people. Absolutely spot on. Couldn't agree more there, Dark Sun G. Moondog says, not having it. Sanchez is still crap. And so is Richie. Do you know what, Moondog? You're absolutely spot on when it comes to Sanchez. I'm not having it either. Just go and buy defenders. It's not looking any better there, though, because apparently Tottenham are pulling out the Langley deal, which we'll get on to a bit in a while. I know Nick wants to have you stay on that. And Richie, you know, I think my sort of fear, look, we could be jumping the gun too early. Look, you know, give the guy a couple of games to settle in. You got to remember, Harry Kane didn't always start off the season very well. Took him a while to get going. I think we have to take that into consideration. But my concerns maybe of the wingers cutting inside, not suiting the system, and maybe Richie not having that composure could be coming true. But I'm going to give it time, my man. Big up, Moondog. We have Paul Markey says we need to bring, yeah, we absolutely got that, my man. Look, we need to do something for sure. Let me know, though, if there's someone else we should have got from the Argentinian League. I know you're a big admirer of it, my man, so big yourself up. We have Wayne Bonner says Vicario passing out was a bit shaky, but he did a good job. New manager, new style of play, new era, new players. So big up, Wayne. I just wanted to say a quick hello to you, my man. And there was someone else, King Hoddle, there as well. Jim Boxwell, Eamon Burns. Great to see all you guys. Carl Higgins is with us as well. Whereas there was someone else, Mark New. Big yourself up, brother Davey Hall. And big yourself up, guys. I can't remember who it was, but I remember. And big up Nigel C as well, becoming a new channel member. Big yourself up, my man. Really appreciate the support. Plenty of channel members, only content for you. Me and Jack have been uploading like wildfire into the community section for all you channel members. So make sure you get on that at the earliest possible opportunity, Nigel. So big yourself up. And then we have this from Dark Young G, and then I want to go in and talk a bit about Harry Kane, Sonny today. Dark Sun G says for two reasons. Our first goal of the season was scored by our defenders. Last season, Sessi Young today was cutie. It's been a while since we scored from a free kick. Come on, you Spurs. You're absolutely spot on with that, Dark Sun G. I think it was Sessi Young against Southampton, wasn't it? Got our first goal of the season last season, and Romero today, there's something about that, you know, our defenders stepping up. Romero today was absolutely delighted, you know, him and Van de Ven both flying in, and that's what we want to see. And, you know, like you said, when was the last time we scored sort of from a free kick? You know, absolutely brilliant. And it was a beautiful ball in by Maddison. There was some delicious deliveries there, and I've no doubt if Gio is still around, he could definitely work with Maddison from corners, from free kicks, so we can get really creative on them and hopefully maximize the goals from that Dark Sun G, because we're definitely going to need them, my man. Big up, brother, and really appreciate the support. And hopefully you're happy with today's result, my man. Maybe close your ears a little because we're going to go into Sonny's performance today. But let us know your thoughts on it as well. But Nick, we'll start with you on this one. First of all, let's start with the penalty given against Sonny, and then we'll get into maybe Sonny's performance a bit deeper. Look, me, personally, I think it was a very soft penalty to be given. I kind of, as soon as I seen it, I thought it would be given because I've seen one given in the Luton-Brighton game yesterday. What's your thoughts on the penalty, though, Nick? And plus, VAR, like, they shouldn't be getting involved once it's gone, right? I thought that was sort of to do with all the new rules and all.
I think that the general, part of the new rules that the Prem has laid out plays on a lot of previous years where when it comes to Spurs, they just make it up on the fly and they do whatever they feel like. If they can possibly give something against us, they'll find a reason to. Even if they have to pull it back 5 minutes after the play has already happened. I think my opinion on our front line is not going to be popular with a lot of people. They're going to think that I'm being way too soft and sentimental. I think that it was an incredibly soft pen to give. I think that the contact was actually made by the attacker. I forget exactly who it was, but he initiated the contact, not Son. So he basically tripped Son over in the box. No way should it have been a pen. I'm taking it from the losing end perspective. I see that, but in the circumstances given, and particularly within this new climate of new rules that we're supposed to be seeing, I don't even know how you even give that as a penalty. As far as Son's performance overall, this is where I think that I'm giving the unpopular opinion because I think a lot of people are getting or have been very frustrated since last season. I see a person right now, though, that is taking on a new role, a new tactic, and is also lost his number one goal-scoring partner for many, many years right now. I see a person that's being asked to do something a bit different than all other coaches, including Pochettino, asked him to do. He's not really – I don't see Postecoglou asking him to cut inside and shoot like that because it's obvious right now, and it's not really the way he wants to play his wingers. He wants him to show more leadership, which I actually did see. I saw him trying to dictate play from the wings for other people to bring other people into play. We're used to seeing Son as a goal scorer, but him as a captain, I think looks a lot different than what people are expecting from him. I'm going to say again, I need to see him start another 2 matches. Now, if he's not bringing up the numbers as far as his creativity, his allowing players to open up, and get their chances on, that's what I want to see. I think he's going to pop up with a goal here and there. The other thing is, when it comes down to the rest of our attackers, which we'll get into, I think we need to be open to a lot of experimentation as to where these guys are going to play, what's going to be suited best for them. I don't want to get into Kulu just yet, but I think that something needs to happen there, and we're going to have to be brave about it.
Look, for me, I agree with you. I sort of alluded to this over the course of preseason. I could foresee maybe issues coming with the inverted wingers. I don't think it suits the system, and it certainly doesn't suit whoever's up front, whether it was Kane up front or whether it was Richiarlison. The balls have to be going out wide, and the wingers have to be getting in crosses for the striker to really bag the goals in this system. But is there being too much made of Son's performance overall, considering the guy's only come back from surgery? Because look, I'll be honest, from what I've seen of him coming off the left, I haven't been impressed. And I sort of flagged it early that I do think there'll be complications. I think we might have to move him to the right or down the middle. Or do you think, there is concern that maybe we might have to look into it?
I think that we're probably getting onto him a little bit too quickly. I feel like all of the players, they haven't really had that much of a pre-season either, you have to remember. And maybe he's been asked to do maybe something that he isn't used to doing. Everyone's getting kind of used to how to play the Ange way. Little man coming in.
There you go. He's got one too.
I do think that we need to maybe be a little bit more patient to see what Ange is going to do, because again, he might mix it up. He might change it and put Sonny down the middle. and change it up. So I think we're going to have to allow for a little bit of time for things to settle before we really judge any of the players. And that, of course, includes Sonny for me. And it was an absolutely soft penalty. The guy went down like when you do the fish, like the salmon, that's what he was doing. He literally flopped down. I was like, what is he doing? He just was ridiculous to do that. And it was such a soft pen. When I was talking to someone else and they were like, do you think so? And I'm like, yeah, man, that was absolutely a soft pen. And he went down after to buy the pen. So the ref should have seen right through that, but he didn't. I don't know.
I'm going to go with the unpopular opinion here. And actually in the moment, so I did get into a little bit of a WhatsApp messaging fit because someone was saying Stonewall, and I was like, F your Stonewall. That's not a penalty. That's soft as hell. That's weak. And I was going off about it. And then I look back at it after the match, and when you think about the reality of what the human goes through as the referee in that moment and the VAR, they're seeing still images in slow motion. And the letter of the law is, did he touch the ball first? No, he hit the ankle. So when you pause it on the moment in which he hits the ankle, then you say there's the contact, never touched the ball. So by the letter of the law, they're going to rule that a penalty. So in the moment, I definitely agreed with all of y'all. I felt it was very soft, very weak in general. But if this is the precedent they want to set, like we saw yesterday, then this is going to be the softness that we can come to expect. It's opening the door for players like Richie to continually fall over in the hopes that we get the call, because as long as he didn't touch the ball, to me in the moment I thought it was soft. Looking back at it, I see why they gave it, because if you look at the replay in slow motion and you pause it right whenever he's making contact, I mean, did he touch the ball before that moment? And they rewind it and no, he didn't, and it's like, there it is.
Yeah, but he went down about 20 minutes after.
Yeah. And do you know what the other problem is, Jacob? I understand what you're saying, but they're not consistent. So they'll do this at the beginning and go, yeah, that's a penalty. Then we'll
but when it happens to us later on the season, exactly, I agree.
It'll be us against Arsenal, and they'll go, nah, not a penalty.
Nah, Richie flopped.
He flopped over. That's what I'm saying. So that's what my problem with it, giving those soft ones is because they're not consistent with them. They're just not.
Yeah. Well, you know what the other thing is too is, did he touch the ankle, or was he tripped? Is that I saw his opponent stick a leg out. It wasn't like he was going for the ball and then he tripped the guy. It's he was going for the ball. The guy stuck his leg out and so they both tripped over. It's, man, that's a hard one.
It's just the angle in which they looked at it too, right? The angle can always be sort of deceiving depending how you look at it. From the angle that they were reviewing it on the broadcast, Nick, I think that we were watching the same thing. They showed it from the angle of them running parallel to each other as opposed to running at the camera. And so from that angle, I agree with you. In real time, I saw it and I was like, that's weak. No way. And they're all whistling and shouting for it. I thought, no way. And I mean, it's tough. And I agree with me. I think they're going to call these for the first few game weeks. And then after a while, they're going to say, oh, no, let's be a little bit more strict. I don't like the inconsistencies. But by the angles in which they showed the referee, I can see why he called it a penalty.
No, all you got to do is look at the player's reaction and realize he went down about 20 minutes after. It's like, honestly, a big gust of wind came across the stadium and it was absolutely embarrassing. I couldn't believe it. As soon as they showed the replay, it's like, nah, never going to be given. Bit soft. I just couldn't believe it. It was absolutely embarrassing. The referee should be embarrassed tonight, actually.
But
I'm sure. Look at all the older ex-professionals sitting at home. They'll be looking at that, absolutely stunned. You can't touch anyone anymore.
That referee gave the most penalties last season. Just saying.
Yeah, I remember the broadcast saying that last year he gave away the most penalties. So statistically, he was always going to give one.
All the rule changes they bring in to make referees less prominent, but yet somehow they always walk away stealing the show. I'm fed up with it. The referees are a disgrace. I don't care. I don't want anyone to say they do a tough job. They don't. They have to run around on a football pitch, mingling with football stars, blowing a whistle. Not that hard whatsoever.
Yeah, think about how many times his hands get to touch players. We only dream our hands could touch. Come on now.
No, it's honestly, I'm sick of it.
Imagine I could touch Romero that many times.
Give him a nice scalp massage, you know. I'll be that man. Holler at me, Spurs. I'll come give everyone head massages. How about that?
Now, I do want to move on to Richie. But before we do though, if anyone wants to have any more of a say on the Sun situation, because there's a lot of people in two different camps on this. Some saying it ain't going to work on the left. How much more time do we waste on it before we put him through the middle and move him to the right? Some people saying, look, give the guy time. He's not even fit yet. Anyone else want to have more of a say on that before we maybe move on?
Well, it's certainly a hot button issue in the chat right now, too, as far as people's opinion on it. There's a heck of a lot of precedent for your left-sided winger, any winger that is, but your seasoned clinical winger, once they hit 30, to be moved into the center. We've seen it work before. I think we may be at that stage in general, especially in a Postecoglou system where you need somebody who's going to fire quickly, and might be a nice segue into the Richie situation. Yeah. But somebody who does have the experience and the skill to take his chances when they come up. We're obviously, if people want to see a winger that's going to take on his man, beat the man, create something all by himself, maybe we're past that as far as Son's concerned. We need to hand that mantle over to somebody else. I still think there's a hell of a player in there. There's a hell of a goal scorer. We need to it's Ange's job to get the best out of him. This is where I'm talking about experimentation. This is the conversation I think we need to have in the coming months. And I would try him. I would try him up front, without a doubt. 100%. I think there's no reason not to. I think he has the skill set. He's 2-footed, and he's very clinical when he's comfortable at it. Balls being fired in. The only thing that he's lacking is the heading threat. We know he's never been the best with the heading. Ange's philosophy, from what I've seen, is the low cross rather than the high cross. But there's a bunch of chances coming in from set pieces in general that are going to be on a plate for somebody that can use their head. That's where I think Richie really should be shining, but we're not seeing it so far. This is what I segue into. What about Kulu? What about Kulu as a number 9? Because he's got some of these skills. He's got the hold-up play. He's got the knock-on ability. I imagine he's got the heading ability. We've just not seen it because he's not in the position there, man. There's so much there that I think would be effective. But, we're talking about moving somebody into a position we've never seen before.
Do you know what? I actually agree with you on the Kulu thing. Just before I get into it, Darkson G says, I'm happy to see a great free kick taker, Maddison, not Dier. I mean, Nick, does it ease your concerns about, having a specialist on set pieces now?
Oh, man. Well, listen, if there's one good thing to take away from the Kane situation is that we're not going to see that anymore. And, hey, you know what? He got one in his final season. So that's a
technically that wasn't a free. That was technically not a free kick. Just saying.
It was not a free. You're gonna have to explain that to me offline, Mia, because I certainly thought it was, but it was a collector's item regardless. We've got Son is a free kick specialist. Let's not forget his international. Oh yeah, he does it all the time for Korea. Maddison, clearly, man. There's nobody really I would prefer right now other than Maddison. But let's say he's not available. Porro and Perisic are no slouches when it comes to free kick. We went from having practically no free kick options 12 months ago into having a plethora of them. So I feel a heck of a lot better. Maddison is the one for me 100%, when it comes down to it.
Big up, Dark Zone G, my man. Really appreciate the support. Everyone, if you could keep smashing that like button, we have a few more talking points to get through. That'd be absolutely awesome. Let's try and get it over to, let's aim for over 150 likes. People say, should be getting around 60%. So let's make sure that happens. And feel free to get in your talking points, your questions for us on the panel. Feel free to do it in a super chat. It's a great way to support everything we do and always leads us off into great discussions. So make sure you play your part. Look, on Kulu, I actually, anyone that's heard me talk about before, I've said long term, I could see him being a replacement to Kane because I think he's got a lot of similarities about him. He just has to learn that striker role, because it is different on the wing, being up front, with two centre backs sort of there. You've got to sort of read the line, learn to stay on side and stuff like that. It's a little bit different, but I think given the time, I think Kulusevski could definitely be a guy we could utilize up front. I think he's got it all. He's got the build. He's well able to take players on. He can pass. He can header the ball. He can cross the ball if needed, and he scores goals. So for me, I definitely wouldn't mind someone like Kulu up front for sure. But Mia, I mean, were you concerned by Richiarlison's performance today? Because I know after the game, Ange sort of said that, look, there's going to be a lot of talk about Richiarlison, but we didn't really utilize him to the best of his abilities. But for me, I just felt largely disappointed. I think 2 chances. You're not in a Premier League game. You can't really expect to get much more than that sometimes, and you have to learn to be clinical and take them. And there was a couple of times in the first half, I think Maddison was on both occasions actually went to sort of play with Richiarlison, and his touch let him down. I mean, do you have concerns about Richiarlison, or do you think again we're just going to have to show a bit of patience, and you think in the long run he will find his form?
Yeah, I think I was disappointed today in Richiarlison for sure, but I do feel like we need to give the guy a bit more time. I think judging him after one Premier League game in the Ange system that's completely new to him, with a lot of stuff going on, I feel that we need to give him a bit more of a chance. And people are going to say, "Oh, you're being too sentimental," and I know, I get it, but I do feel that we need to. If we're saying it about Sonny, and if we're saying it about other players, then I feel like we need to keep the same energy for Richie too. I feel like that, yes, they're different players. Maybe Sonny's got more money in the bank because obviously he's been good in the past for us. Of course, he scored many a goal. But I think that Richie just hasn't been given that much of a chance yet. And I think we do have to remember that. And I want to see him get that bit more of a chance. And I think Ange will do that. I think Ange will put his arm around him and sort of, give him a bit more confidence. And I think that's what he needs, because when he plays for Brazil, he plays really well. So I do think that we do need to give him a bit more of a chance. I know that's probably not a popular opinion, but I'm used to giving not popular opinions, apparently. That's my thing.
Yeah, look, I do think we need to bring in competition for Richie, and I suppose we'll get on to that in a minute. But
yeah,
it's only fair that...
I didn't say don't bring competition for him.
No. Geez, I know that. But look, it's only fair we talk about Kulu's performance as well today, Jacob, because look, he frustrated me today so badly. Every time he got the ball, he kept on doing the same thing, cutting inside, passing it backwards when it was crying out for him to get on the ball and take on his man. That's traditionally what wingers are all about. Get on the ball, drive at your man, take him on, and get balls into the box for the striker to score. No matter how much modern fancy names they put on football and positions, that will always remain the same. Were you concerned by Kulu's performance today?
Concerned? I've been concerned before today's performance about Kulusevski and just kind of how he can impact our starting 11. Because honestly, like you said, I do want to say to his credit, there was one time, Dave, he decided to take the ball into his right foot and continue driving down the right side of the pitch. It happened once, and guess what? He was successful at it. And it was like, why don't you try this more often, maybe? For me, Kulusevski, he's just not fast enough. And in my opinion, to be successful in this league, you need pace and power. I've heard it said before, and I agree with it. You need pace and power. You can have one, not the other. You're going to struggle in this league, and we've seen it. He can have power. He can stand up play sometimes, but when it comes down to it, there's oodles and oodles of space in front of him at times today, and he just didn't take his man on with the dribble. Neither did Sonny, but Kulusevski has shown that he cannot get into that open space with much of a hurry. And that to me is concerning, but that doesn't mean I don't want to put limits on players. I don't want to say Kulusevski can't do this. He's young enough, he's bright enough, and I think his mindset is right that he could come good, and I've been waiting for him to prove me wrong. And today I felt like wasn't really much of a performance that proved me wrong, in the sense that I just don't know that he's the solution there. The 35 that we spent on him could have been, I was always upset about the Moussa Diaby deal. I didn't know Moussa Diaby was for sale. I watch Leverkusen, so I love Diaby, and honestly, didn't know he was for sale. You spend an extra 15, you got Diaby instead of Kulu, and it makes a whole hell of a lot of a difference what's going on that right-hand side. So I just don't know that right now he's doing what it takes to excel and be a formidable force in our starting 11 at this moment. But to his defense, neither was Richiarlison, neither was Son. So they all got to come good. So, I guess he was like the most successful passing, so kudos to him for that. But there needs to be more. There has to be more. But I do want to give some credit to Brentford's defense. They sat back, they were a solid shape, and they didn't really give us much space anywhere. Anytime we were just kind of going back and forth, not really switching the play, and we were looking to try maybe where's the hole on the left, they were solid. They were solid, compact defense. You could say they parked the bus, but they were very much a solid unit defensively, and I think that could have also been a reason.
But that's why the game was crying out for a left foot on the left side, right foot on the right side. Like, this is not new to Spurs fans. We were here when the season Conte got to the got us into Champions League. Remember Brentford at the back end of that season and Brighton at the back end of that season. They congested the middle, but we created our own problems today, especially for large periods, because Son and Kulu kept on cutting inside. And when you're asking 2-8s to get forward and advance, they're cutting into each other's space. They're cutting each other off. Maddison and Son done that a number of times today, in my opinion. And that's why games like this are crying out for the right footer to be on the right side so they can beat their man, get in behind them, and swing balls in behind them. For me, Nick, the lack of creativity sort of today really sort of concerned me. Really, I get it, right? It's early doors, and it's going to get better given time. But I did expect to see a lot more creativity there, because I did say over preseason, you got to remember, teams aren't pressing you. There's not really too much shape to it. And you've got a lot more time on the ball. But coming into the Premier League season, that's going to be a little bit different. And today, that rang true. I mean, the lack of creativity for all the possession we had, it's just not good enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. Well, you know what? That brings up a question that was a bit puzzling. Why didn't we see a more proactive substitution when it came to particularly right wing for Kulu? Why didn't we see possibly a Solomon? But, I think everybody kind of is wondering what happens if you play Poro up there on a regular basis, because he's got the skills in his locker. He's got the ability to play a dime into the box. Question is, I'm not really sure, how Richie's going to do with those balls coming in from the right. I don't see his body shape just tends to be his back is to that area. Maybe that's why. Maybe he's expecting the in swinger. I don't know. I'm pulling things out of the air right now. But my other question though too is, as the game progressed and Brentford started playing deeper and deeper and more compact, making it harder to break through, why didn't we see a central change for creativity purpose, like a Lo Celso coming in for Maddison? Yeah, which just, fresher legs. Is it because Postecoglou just wants to get the minutes into who he sees as his first starting 11? I think that's possible. I really would have liked to see some kind of a change in that direction.
Do you know what, on that point, Nick? I think you raise a quick point. Quickly, breaking news. Eric Dier's left Tottenham Hotspur and is a new Al Nassr player. The Saudi Arabian team, he is gone. We're going to get onto that in just a minute. I do want to take Nick's point, though. And this was my concern, Nick.
Wow.
Nick, this was my concern. Nick, this was my concern. This was my concern in general, was that, bringing so many people on preseason tour and trying to give them all the equal amount of minutes. We paid the price for that today, especially in the second half. That intensity for the last 20, 25 minutes just was not there. And I think that's why we didn't see the substitutions as many as I was expecting, because that Celtic, Ange Postecoglou, had no problem making a lot of substitutions when needed towards the end of the game to sort of keep that intensity. And today, I think we paid the price for that, because Ange Postecoglou didn't really want to change it because he wanted to get minutes into people's legs. So I definitely agree on that. We've got a super chat here from Dark Sung G, and then we're going to go into the Eric Dier situation. Yep, here he is. He actually brings it up. He says, I've seen tweets about Dier going to the Saudi League. Do you think that is true? I hope it is, that we finally got rid of a problem in our squad. And I'll tell you what it says. Breaking news, Eric Dier is a new player of Saudi Arabia side Al Nassr. So there you have it. He's gone. Thank God.
Is that who's reported that though, Dave? Or I've seen it, but I've seen that they've said it's not. It's just talks at the moment.
Well, it's a presenter and a broadcaster for BBC Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
He's the one that's sort of come out and said it. So look, interesting. I would sort of believe it because we seen yesterday, right? He unfollowed Tottenham, then refollowed Tottenham. He wasn't, and he didn't travel with the squad today. So I would believe that he is gone. And for me, I thought maybe he threw a hissy fit because he wasn't in the leadership group. And as soon as I sort of seen that, I was like, "There's problems there. This guy has to go now, or he's going to try and undermine Ange if he's kept around." Look, anyone want to have their thoughts on this? We'll start with you, Mia, and we'll go to Jacob, and then we'll come back round to Nick.
Yeah, I'm never somebody who wants to abuse players that have been there with us for a while. But yeah, it was time for him to go, man. He had to go. He wasn't good enough. So if it is true and he has indeed gone, I think that's a good news for us, getting another player out. And yeah, a player that's obviously not wanted by Ange and isn't good enough. So I would be more than happy if that is absolutely true.
Jacob, thoughts on Dier gone?
I just hope it's true, and I hope it's not getting my hopes up for nothing. I'm gonna reserve myself here because I am a guest on the Irish Hotspur, so I'm gonna reserve the way that I'm feeling. But if anyone who knows me, all my homies are eating good tonight. That's all I'm saying. All my homies are gonna be eating good tonight because guess what? Eric Dier, if he is on his way to Al Nassr, I don't care if it's for $2, 2 hamburgers, 2 million. I see that the question for the fee. I don't even care. I don't need to know any financial aspect of this deal. I just need to know when's his flight leaving. That's all I care about. The fact that he was not in the starting 11, that gave me a lot of juice when I woke up this morning, and I was like, good. Finally, not even on the bench. This is great news. Great news for us. And, I'm really just trying to let it sink in. When Harry Kane left and it was official, he's on the plane, and you see him through the fish tank, and he's going up the stairs smiling, and I'm kind of like really hurting on the inside. I feel like this is the antithesis of that, and we're really getting all ends of the spectrum of emotion here, because yesterday, while I'm upset that, Harry Kane's playing as a Bayern Munich player, today we get the draw, and then we get this surprise news out of nowhere that he's going to Saudi Arabia. I mean, happy days, man. Happy days. I can't sing, but if I could, I would sing that all down the street. I'm singing it through downtown. I'm getting on the largest roof I can find, and I'm singing it. I'm so excited. No 15, no problem. It's a surreal moment, Dave. I'll be honest with you. This is something I've wanted for a long time, and it feels like it's not really happening. I don't want it to not happen. I hope this is confirmed. I hope it's confirmed.
Can I just say, he's not worth a pack of camels. That would be way too much for him. Sorry.
DB says it's confirmed. He's bringing him to the airport. I mean, Nick, what's your thoughts on it? To be honest, quite frankly, I couldn't give a crap about the fee. I'm not looking for one. There hasn't been a reported fee either, but I don't care. I'm like many of you. I'm absolutely buzzing. But Nick, what's your thoughts on it, my man?
I feel the same as pretty much the majority of the fan base is. I would go as far as to say that what this means in a broader scope, it could be the biggest thing to happen to this club since Pochettino came in, because what it really means, we've heard so much from Harry Kane, from each exiting manager about the problems with the culture of the club. And if you were to put two faces onto what the problems with the culture of the club have been, at least in the last 4 seasons, number 1 is Daniel Levy, number 2 is Eric Dier. They have been setting this guy up since Pochettino put him in as a center back and kind of put him in a leadership role to be the face of this club going forward when it's not Harry Kane, to set him up for a captaincy. We've seen all the managers since Pochettino be sold this idea. He's so good in the dressing room. He has so many qualities. To me, it seemed like they've given him a script and say, hey, look, this is your guy. Look how good he is. Look at how good of an interview he does with you. Tell everybody in the press he's going to be one of the greatest center backs since Rio Ferdinand. Just put that out there, because that's what we're setting him up to be. And it just has not worked. We know how stubborn Daniel Levy is. I'm going to go back and revisit what I said when Ange Postecoglou first took the job, and we first heard that the Longley deal was not on. I jumped the gun a bit. I was saying, hallelujah, this is great news. This is Postecoglou putting his foot down and making his imprint on the club right now. He's saying that this is not good enough. I don't want it. If we don't see Longley and Eric Dier actually going, this is going to be a completely different dressing room. 100%, man. It is starting from scratch in many, many ways on what the bad blood was. And I really couldn't be happier. I'm going to wait until I see him holding up the Al Nassr shirt to really cash my chips in. But, man, what a good move forward. It also means we must be getting in another center back. I don't think that you can get away, that anybody really thinks that we can get away with just Sanchez and Davies as backups. I think Eric Dier being out, taking his leadership away, him not being in the squad, to me says money's about to be spent on another defender.
And also, can we just say as well that means that Postecoglou is getting what he wants, and so nobody can come back at me and say, "Oh, actually, he wasn't backed," because I don't like this term "backed" anyway, because it's subjective, so I don't like using it. But I do think he is putting his imprint on, and he does seem like he is making a real impact at the club, and that to me gives me hope. That gives me hope.
I agree as well, because there was a point in time in which everyone was saying, when does Ange start Dier, and when does he come out and say he's got faith in Dier like every other manager, like you said, Nick? And honestly, it's not happened, and I love the fact that we are actually, maybe finally, we are doing things per what our manager wants for a long-term plan. Is this what we're doing? And at what point do we start to give whoever's making these decisions props? Because the Maddison and winks the other way to make Maddison worth 30 mil in our book, that's great. And then if we can, whoever's sending Eric Dier off to Saudi, I want to give that man a hug. Daniel Levy, I will kiss that bald head of yours, because if you get Eric Dier to Saudi Arabia, I will give Daniel Levy a scalp massage that I was talking about earlier. I'm so excited that the prospect of this being true. Nick, I know my rational side says wait until it's official. He's holding the shirt and he's kissing Nuno Espirito Santo. Isn't that his manager? No, wait. No, he's Etihad.
Is that Al Nassr?
No, he's at Etihad.
No, I think you might be
Al
right.
Etihad. No, Nuno's at Al Etihad. He's at the guy, because they just won it twice, and then Ronaldo's at the other place. So yeah, but either way, whoever's doing the business, I love it. Get him sent. Make the fly happen now. I'm all in it. I'm all in.
And Joe, what? That's always my argument, though, Jacob, is that if we're going to give negative connotations towards Levy, absolutely, for everything he does wrong. But I do believe if we're going to say he's given Ange things like getting rid of Dier, players that he wants, we do somewhat have to say, okay, Levy, it looks like this gives us hope that possibly that you are doing what manager. I'm not saying he 100% is, guys. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying this gives us maybe a teeny bit of hope that is actually happening.
Well, just to throw a little hot take in there, man. I mean, is it Levy or is the Shadow Don still cooking?
Behind bars, he's cooking.
He's an advisor.
I think he was there at the game. I'm sure there was a picture someone said of him.
This has his fingerprints all over it. Really, for me.
But Nick, if that's true, Levy still has to sanction it, right? He has to okay it. So
well, look, the Don is always going to be cooking at Tottenham Hotspur. A lot of people will be praising his business this season. I can already feel it. But look, on the Dier news, I mean, look, obviously wait for it to be firm, but I'm absolutely over the moon. 7 years too late, this guy is here. He should have been gone long time ago, and I'm delighted to see him being shipped on. It really is starting to signal the start of a new era for me, especially if they follow up by getting one of Davies and Sanchez gone as well. And Dax on G says, Dier's an England player, not even homegrown. He's useless. And he also follows up by saying, no more seeing Dier blaming others for his error. And do you know what, Dark Sun G? I'd say you're over the moon because you've been around with me for the last 2 to 3 years, and you've constantly sort of harped on about the same players as me, my man. About these players just not being good enough and costing us. One out the door. More to go, but I'm absolutely buzzing. It starts here. No more is this guy going to be left around, coming in, costing us games, and then ultimately, and then managers get sacked off the back of it. I'm delighted he's gone. I'm absolutely over the moon, to be honest with you. I can't wait. I'm going to have a kebab to celebrate tonight. Big up Dark Sun G. I'm going to have a big Dier kebab. Absolutely love it. And then Lewis says Paratici was at the Brentford game. Oh, he's still cooking. He's still cooking.
Still cooking. Hey, Dave, man, real quick, man, Jazz Fusion beat me to it. You know what? I couldn't help myself. I was about to jump in. But could we say that you're over the moon boots, David? I think we're all over the moon boots.
I was over him 9 years ago.
Over. That's right.
I was over him 9 years ago. That's why he's earned the nickname. But yeah, I'm over the moon boots, my man. Honestly, I fear for Jacko because he's in mid-flight at the minute. As soon as he gets off that plane, they might have to have a wheelchair on standby to get him through the airport. Honestly, he's going to keel over. But, like the others have said, it does signal a new era. Hopefully there's more to come with more out. We need more out so that we can bring more in. And look, that brings me on to the last question for the panel, and then we will call it an evening then. Looking at that today, we all sort of got, we've all had a good glimpse of Ange ball now. And we'll start with you, Nick, and work our way around. What for you is left that Ange needs to be able to make this his system as successful as possible this season?
We got a lot. The key word, man, is really patience. I know everybody's sick of being patient with this club, patient with the administration, patient with the managers that we brought in and just couldn't really just get it over the line and get the administration to do what they needed them to do. Still, we're going to have to give him a little bit of time. The backline situation now is going to be in somewhat of a disarray. And despite how you want to look at it, it's going to need time to gel together. I think we only saw 15 minutes of what Romero and Van de Ven looked like. And by the way, what a pair of cojones Postecoglou had to play Van de Ven, straight out of the box, man. And which I was saying right up until today, I don't care. If the guy's match fit, if the guy can play, I don't care if he's up to snuff tactically. There's no other player that's going to be better in that position that we have than this kid coming in. So we're just going to have to wait till this back line gels and he decides what the best thing to do with the front line is, man. It's just going to be a little more time. Patience is going to be needed. On our half, Manchester United is going to be a huge, huge test. I think that what the best thing that we have going for us right now is the unknown quantity that we are, particularly going forward. Then, as disarrayed as we looked in that first 45 minutes, you could tell that our opposition was just as confused as to what the hell was going on. And I think we really, really need to play with that. The way we use our fullbacks is going to stifle and confuse a lot of teams. We need to exploit that unknown factor, especially coming in on a team that looks as solid as Manchester United does right now.
I hate to break this to you. I've just read that they're denying that it's true about Eric Dier. That's why I said be careful.
Don't you pop that bubble. Let's just live in this fabricated state of
just
grace.
When I was having a good time, Mia.
Ruined it. Thanks for that, Mia.
Thanks, Mia.
I just wanted to be honest.
You've ruined everyone's evening.
I just wanted to be honest with the news, basically. I didn't want to mislead people, but I'm going to check it with someone else that I can trust to see what they're saying.
Who denied it, though?
King Hoddle is convinced that the fee is $50 million, and I'll go with that. We paid Al Nasser $50 million to take Dier off our hands, and that's what I'm sticking with until somebody tells me different.
It's a reporter in Saudi Arabia, apparently, a big account, and he's denied it. Sorry.
Well, everyone, blame me for your evening not getting any better this evening. We tried to improve it.
Well, no, because I didn't want you guys to go on and think that's true, and then you're going to find out it's not true anyway. I was just trying to be honest, guys. Sorry.
Sometimes it's best just letting us be delusional.
Hold on, DB over here is not so sure. If DB, if you can cite what your references are, we'd all be appreciating it. If you can let us know where you're getting any information, if you are getting some.
Yeah, Paul Martin says, there goes my kebab. So thanks for that, man. No kebab for Dave either. Ian Cook with the super sticker. Let's see what he's put in here. Big up, Ian. Where is it? He's just gone with the bye-bye. Too soon now, according to me, my man. It's too soon now.
I've just sent you the screenshot, Dave, that I've just seen saying that they
Look,
denied it.
regardless, we know something's up with Dier.
Yeah.
Any way you want to slice it, something in the Dier camp is not all copacetic as far as how the manager feels his future is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There could be some, obviously, truth to it. They didn't know yet. There could be that he is leaving, but we don't know where. So there still could be a case for that. They're not, all they're doing, DB, is copying what that first guy said. They're just redoing it. It's not anybody.
They just
new
credited
that
him
it.
on their tweet. Yeah, that's what I saw too from Last Word on Spurs. That they had used that same source, the original source that everyone has used to say Dier.
Yeah.
I think it's just something we all want and are hopefully anticipating for. That as soon as there's even a nibble, there's a person with Saudi's TMZ or whatever just want to stir the pot a little. What a good way to get millions of Tottenham fans to go ahead and get their hopes up and really think about how good their night was going to be. And now actually the homies aren't all eating well.
Well, do you know what? I took solace the fact that he didn't travel with the squad yesterday and he threw his toys out of the pram yesterday. That, for me, sort of signals the end. There's no way. Well, I'd never tempt it with Tottenham, but surely there's no way they're going to keep him around knowing that he's being disobedient. But look, we'll go to you, Ian, as well. Plug your channel off the back of this, please. Again, same question I asked Nick. What do you think is left for us to do this window to, make Ange's job a little bit easier this season?
I would say a gift Orban, which does look like we are trying to get, but they have increased their price. So let's see what happens with that one. But I do think we are trying to get that done. Apparently, we're going to put in an official offer next week for him. That's what I've heard. And then I would say another centre back. And if we do sell a Ndombele and a pair, Emmett Højbjerg, I feel we need to get another one to replace somebody else to replace him. So I would say would get quite maybe 4 out and then 3 in. I think would probably be reasonable, or 2 in and 3 or so out. I think that will happen because don't forget we already got Roden out, so we've only got really Tanganga and hopefully Dier to go from there, and then I think that Højbjerg and Ndombele will go as well. So yeah, I think that would probably be what I would say is reasonable to get Ange going, to have enough players to provide him decent, something decent for the rest of the season. And we could also, don't forget January, we can still get someone else as well. So yeah, I hate to be I don't think no one's going to follow me now after I'm a Doom merchant. Everyone's be like, no, don't go to her channel. So
they will. But Mia, everybody, please do get over and check out Mia's channel. Absolutely fantastic content out there. I believe you've done a really good sort of show with Shawnee on the trust.
Yeah, we did. We had a really good conversation about the trust, and I'd like to hear everyone's opinions, whether you agree or disagree. Obviously, it's always good as long as you keep it respectful. I always like to hear people's opinions, but that video has actually done pretty well, and actually I'm now only 19 away from getting 1,000, which is crazy.
Come on. There's 19 people left in here. There's 277 left. There's 19 people that haven't subscribed to Mia's channel. Please get over there and get it done. Let's get her over 1,000. She can put a downer on our night, but we'll make her night. Why not? So get over there and make that happen. Jacob, same question to you, my man. What do you think is left now that you've seen today that we need to bring in to be seriously to help Ange?
I think we do need another center back. I've always said all along we need 3, and we need at least 1 to leave, hopefully 2. And this was after Roden leaving. Apparently Roden's a striker, by the way. Didn't you know? Leeds played him at the striker. And anyway, for me, I don't know that this Højbjerg talk, I've always heard a whisper, but it's really all it's been. I haven't seen anything, haven't heard anything outside of he wants to play for Madrid because obviously it kind of suits his style. But I don't even know. I'm not so sure that that was even him. I mean, it could have just been people fluffing news up saying he would fit in that system that Simeone runs over there with Atletico Madrid. So honestly, we don't need a 6 until one leaves. Plain and simple. And if Højbjerg don't leave, then we don't need one. And that's the way I see it. I would like to see that we get this gift Orban kid. Do that first and foremost. They want an extra 5, fine. Send them an extra 5, make them richest Belgian club at this juncture in their season.
They
That's
actually
fine.
want another 10. They want 10 more, which is obviously.
You know what?
Still,
well, yeah, because they know that we got that money now. Yesterday's
no,
price is not today's price. Plus, the guy's not stopped bagging hat tricks. He was. You know what I'm saying? The season ended, he was bagging hat tricks. In the off season, he was bagging hat tricks. And they weren't even playing games. So this man cannot stop bagging hat tricks. He's a complete striker. Someone that I've kept my eye on because he caught my attention when he was playing Conference League last season. And I like to see these guys like Van de Ven and Orban, these youngsters that I've kept my eye on because of data analytics, basically what they lead me to. And the club now takes this data approach and are starting to scout these same players. So it's long may it rain. Spend the extra 10, whatever it may be. The kid's special. You're not going to regret it in 5 years' time. I guarantee you that. He's a complete striker. Scores with the left, the right, and his head. He can do it all in and around the box. He's exactly what we need to be, in my opinion. But outside of that, a right winger would be nice as well. Someone to challenge Kulusevski. Someone that we know, okay, if Solomon is either Perisic's backup or if Solomon can play on the right. If we don't know the answer to either one of those questions, then we need another threat there on the right, or try Porro. But we got a lot of right backs, but only one player can apparently play right back. So we might need to solve something on that front too. Maybe we need one of those center backs who can play the right-sided center back and a right back at the same time. Maybe that might be what we need. I don't know.
Let's wait and see what happens. Look, for me, I think 100% money needs to be invested in the forward line, and preferably another centre back. And I think we'll give Ange a really good chance this summer. But people, please do get over and check over Jacob's channel, United Spurs America. The link is in here as well. Jacob, what's the next number you want to hit?
Let's see. I mean, I don't know. Anyone who wants to go over there and sub, I see that one person did, so shout out that one person. People are always setting milestones for each other, for themselves, and for me, I'm just kind of like, hey, if you want to come sub, hit the like, that's totally on you. You want to watch it and do none of that, not support the channel, that's on you too. It's a free nation, free universe, so everyone's free to. If you do want to subscribe, I definitely encourage you to do that. But yeah, if I had to put a number on it, we're what? 8 away from 1,860. So 8 people should go subscribe. We'll hit the next 1.86. So
if nice. 8 of you could go and do that, that'd be absolutely awesome. And we still need 16 of you to get over to Mia's channel, Spurs Between the Lines, and smash that subscribe button. So let's see if we can get more. I'm just going to put the link in there, and then I will be ending off. We'll grab Mia's link here. Oh, by the way, today Scott Munn and Paratici were in attendance at today's game. It's good to see Scott Munn. The guy's been hiding for quite some time. And there's the link for Mia's channel. Let's get over and get her over to 1,000 this evening, please, guys. So yeah, Scott Munn is back around, which is absolutely brilliant. So let's see what he does now coming in. I wonder, does he officially start, though? Is he just there in attendance? But apparently there was a lot of board members at that game today. Of course, maybe it could be down to the fact that it's Ange Postecoglou's first game in charge. Let's wait and see. But look, hopefully the news about Eric Dier is true, that he is on his way out the door. If it is, no doubt, I'll do some sort of stream to celebrate him being gone. I don't care about being nice to the guy. I think he's been bad for this football club, and I just want him out. But look, that's it here from us. That's it from Jacob, Mia, Nick, and myself. Thank you guys very much for tuning in with us all day today, from the pre-match show to the watch-along to the post-match show, and all of your support. It's been absolutely incredible numbers today. I think we gained over like 200 subscribers today. It's absolutely incredible. So big yourselves up, everybody, and we'll see you all back here tomorrow. Come on, you Spurs. In Ange we trust. Most importantly, we never stop. Let's go.
The new era, the Ange era.
Quiz. It's obligatory.